Welcome to Hypothetically Intentional, where we ask the question, what if we set intentions with everything we do? I'm your host, Michelle Aubers, and today I have Dawn of Upward Facing Dawn here with me, one of my favorite people. Welcome, Dawn.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you.
I love how our relationship has evolved over the years. It's like we're friends, we're each other's teachers, we're each other's peers, we're each other's pillars. It's like we kind of dance all the dances, and kind of cool. I appreciate it very much.
I think it's pretty magical.
Me
and
too.
Such a great example of how you don't have to just be one person to other people all the time. You don't have to get stuck in roles.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just be you.
Exactly, which leads me to the next thing. We always set an intention at this podcast, and I think you may have just done it.
Mm-hmm.
Like what I heard was my intention for today is to just be me.
Yeah. It is the very best thing that I can be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when I try to be something else, I can't remember what I was trying to be. And
yeah, and I feel like I'm working with two left feet when I do that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't quite flow in the same way, and I feel like I'm going to trip over and over and over again, which is, I didn't used to feel that way. I used to feel like the more I could hide and tuck into boxes and labels and like roles, the better I felt. But what I realized is that completely depleted me. And also on some level, like energetically sabotaged me. Forget the mental, emotional, physical. It energetically sabotaged me because I was literally lying to myself
100%
on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah. And we have a mutual teacher who likes to repeat that it's the teachings, not the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a beautiful thing when you're doing a lot of stuff. But also, if you don't bring yourself to it, then nobody wants you to be their teacher.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah, I think it's important to find people that you resonate with and that inspire you and that also challenge you. And that the balance within that is really delicate, which I feel like is the glorious segue into two things that we talk about on the regular. And I would like to dive into more. One is Ayurveda and the other is yoga therapy and how that can support us.
Yeah.
Specifically with regard to, this is going to sound but calming the fuck down. Because I just really need to do that these days. I find people in my life really need to do that these days. And need is maybe not the best way to say it, but just I'm inviting myself to pause and take a breath and give a nice long exhale more often these days.
Yes.
And I know that I have nuggets of knowledge in Ayurveda, not really at all in yoga therapy. And I find that like these kind of conversations where I can talk to an expert in the field and learn a little something, and then also know that when I get that ping, hey, I need someone to help me with X, I know that you are there, that I can reach out and find you and get the support I need.
You know where to find me.
I do. And we're going to make sure everybody else does too.
Awesome. I love that.
I don't know where you want to go with that, but it's just an invitation to like, let's play a little.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I find myself leaning for myself into the stuff that I learned in yoga therapy. And a lot of it is very similar to stuff that I learned in yoga teacher training. But then it kind of just like takes it down a couple layers, a little bit deeper. Like when I teach yoga therapy together, which is a class that I wrote for the training that I was in. It was like my capstone project. We get people together and spend time talking about pausing and breathing and checking in on a level that most of us don't allow ourselves to do on a regular basis. You know, it's like when people ask you, how are you? And the answer is fine. I was just in a training this fall with Judith Lassiter, and she's like, when a woman tells you that she is fine, you know.
Unless she's saying, I'm fine. That's a different thing.
Tone means everything, right? Yeah. When you pause and you check in, and it's not just like, have I eaten today? Did I get enough sleep? But it's like, do I feel safe? Do I feel appreciated? the saying, don't just go where you're tolerated, go where you are celebrated. Also do that in your own head.
Yeah.
A lot of yoga therapy. The funny thing is that when people come to yoga therapy, they very often aren't looking for how they can feel better about themselves, about their lives, about their choices, about how they live in the world. They're coming in because they're like, well, I want to avoid a knee replacement surgery, or I'm at a stage in my life where I'm not sure where I'm going in my career. I loved that one. I was like, now that is out of the box thinking. Yeah. Let's work on that. Or, I have this injury that I'm not, I've been through the physical therapy, and now what? And 201, it all comes back to, hey, how are you? How are you really? What's going on with you?
Yeah, and the whole package of you. Not because what I heard a lot of what you're describing that people are usually come to you, at least initially, for is the physical.
Yep.
And from the little that I do know about yoga therapy can be mind, body, spirit. Yoga therapy is by nature the whole picture.
Yeah.
Much like Ayurveda. I mean, I think of them as like, this isn't like looking at one little thing and zooming in on that and only that. This is like, let's gather as much information as we can.
Yeah.
And then navigate that with a map that is very much yours and only yours.
Yeah.
Which is different for everyone.
It's so great. I mean, I've been in rooms where I get to teach 30 to 60 people, like an asana class where we do the poses and we do the breathing and stuff. But when you're working one-on-one with a person and it's like, okay, so we're going to come into Cobra. How does it feel to lift just your head? How about your chest? Where do you feel this in your back? What is it doing to your breath? What is it doing to your mindset? What is it doing to your temperature? It's like, if you don't get to that place where you can check in about how you really are, you're going to go through this really in-depth Cobra and not have answers.
Right. Well, and I think it's rare. I'm finding, like with the work that I do with people, I'm finding that it's rare for people to have the skill even of checking in with themselves. Really, we check in with ourselves often, and we can label our comfort zones, right? Like we know our patterns and our tendencies, and we can fire those off really easily. But when we're in a state that's not normal or usual for us, when it's not one that we recognize, we kind of, it's like, well, I'm fine, I guess. I mean, I don't know, I feel different, but I can't really put my finger on why or what or how. And I think that's where things like, the things we do come in, because it's like, well, let's explore how we actually assess how are you really, like in your depths, how are you?
Yeah. Well, and it comes from a lot of programming from different places in our lives. It could be our family of origin. It could be our time in school. It could be our time in various jobs. Like, I've had various jobs where you're going to be busy for this 3 to 4 hour period, and there's not going to be a drink of water, a snack, or a restroom trip. So you better plan accordingly. And so when you're doing that, you are consciously choosing to ignore the inherent signals from your body that say, oh, hey, could I get a drink of water? Maybe you could just stop moving for 30 seconds and blink your eyes until they weren't dry.
Yeah.
That would be really great. Thanks.
I need to remember that one when I'm wearing my contacts and not my glasses. Because it's like I'll get to a certain point in the day and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, my eyes are like so much drier than I would have even realized. But I only realized because there started to be pain or discomfort, right? Not pain, but discomfort.
And just side note, interesting thing happened this year to me, and it's mostly last year, 2024. Because I am using this lens to look more deeply into things, I found that I was having some issues with my eyes. I went to a very skilled eye doctor, and she said, well, we want to put prisms in your glasses because you're not bringing the images together from your two cameras, your two eyes.
Wow.
And I said, I've heard a lot of things that can be problematic for getting glasses. It means I can't buy my glasses online anymore. Tragedy. It means I won't have 20 pairs of glasses either, because they'll be, much more expensive. All of these things. And I was like, is there something else? Is there another way? Because obviously my eyes have been putting the two images together my whole life and with my brain. And she's like, oh yeah, there's this thing called eye therapy. I can recommend someone and send you to that. And so part of me was like, I don't want to do all of that work. And then I was like, I bet that's how my clients feel. I know that's how many of my clients feel. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it the time and the energy that I can give it and see what I can accomplish. And it was fascinating.
That's amazing.
I don't blink enough. I don't blink enough. I'm getting older, and my eyes, just to some degree, are just like, it's close enough.
Yeah. This whole getting older thing, we could go down a whole tangent.
We'll do a whole other podcast about that one.
We could, and likely it would be very helpful for many people, because I think people don't necessarily talk about it all that much, but you're just like, what is happening right now? Anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent. We can go there another day.
And what an interesting metaphor to just say, I have to put time and energy in on a daily basis to be able to see more clearly and more accurately, to be more sound to act in the world.
And that is such a beautiful thing. I mean, the awareness in that, and even like, it's so funny because I'm in my head, I'm like, the desire for clarity, the desire for accuracy.
Mm-hmm. It's strong, right?
Well, yeah, and there's a piece of me that's like, it's attachment, because then I go down to that, like, but it doesn't feel that way in my being the way I said it. It's like, it feels like not attachment. It feels like for my best and highest good, which is a different thing. And I think it's interesting that I brought in the attachment piece, and maybe it's just because of the things I've been doing in my world lately with clients and, people. But I think the desire for accuracy and clarity is for your best and highest good. And as long as, like, the little, like, maybe it could be an attachment or be, a less positive thing.
Sure.
If you're beating yourself up if you don't have it, if you're, reprimanding yourself because you haven't achieved that attachment of that goal, versus like being in flow, right? Like quickly, versus being in the flow of like, oh, there are things I can do for myself with experts in the field. In your case, right? Like, you worked with someone who could help you get your achieve what you needed.
Yeah.
And to do that for yourself, and to take that time and put in that effort, and to do so lovingly and kindly and caringly. And I love, you said along the lines of, well, I want to see what happens. I want to try that, and it's like, that is a very different thing than I'm going to do that and make it work, and no matter what.
Yeah.
There has to be like a surrender in it.
100%. And it's been a long road to that.
Oh gosh, me too.
For me.
Me too.
So many things in my life, including like when I started in yoga teacher training so many years ago, like, it was just another stick to see how I measured up.
Oh gosh, that is such a beautiful way to put it. Like, I'm just like sinking into that visual, because that's a great way of putting it.
Right?
Like, just like, because so many of us, in my experience, most people I talk to have a measuring stick, and they are looking to see how they measure up. And it is the comparison game over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Which is, that led me to a yoga therapy question. I'm not even sure why, but I wonder, like, in yoga therapy, I'm assuming, and I don't want to do that, this is thus the question. Do people come with similar ailments but have very different, like, pathways to get to their own healing?
They've all been just completely unique.
Yeah.
Like, it would be kind of cool for me if I could, just write one book and be like, here's your path, here's what you need to do, and you're welcome.
Yeah, I do know it doesn't work that way.
But no, they've been Like some of the tools that we use are similar, and that's really nice because the more familiar I am with the tools, the more I use them, the more I help other people to understand them, the better I am at explaining them and making them useful for other people. But no, we're all such unique.
That's what I'm finding over and over again.
Fascinating.
It's like, yes. I think we can have really similar pain points. Like the human body can only hurt in so many places.
Yeah.
You know, like we can only have so many emotional wounds. Like there's only so many. Like that to me feels finite.
Yeah.
The reasons for them and the how to heal them,
right,
are all unique and completely different. Like what works for somebody who has the exact same physical pain in their body, the path to get out of that pain is its own map. It's its own way. It's its own journey.
Yeah.
And even within that, like you might, through your experience and your intuition and your wisdom, have an idea of where we're going to go and what we're going to do to evolve this. And the first step is good. It works. And then all the other steps change because it works in a different way than we anticipated. Yeah. And then it's like, okay. And it's like, I just gotten really like, I don't know if used to is the right word, but good at and like appreciative of being able to witness and observe with accuracy and clarity in real time, because I recognize and understand now, which this is the thing I used to resist the most, that everything is ever changing.
Yeah.
There is not like I mean, I'm not saying there can never be a pause and there's never anything static, but I am saying like me accepting that things are ever evolving and that I might think I know and I never know. Right. And that's amazing and beautiful. It was just a beautiful place for me to land because not me resisting that was just more pain.
100%. 100%. My yoga therapy teacher liked to say, everything is everything all the time.
Yeah.
And it would be said when we were having a real moment of clarity in class. It would be saying when someone would say they're struggling about something. It would be said when we were talking about medical terminology and phraseology and how hard it is to remember until you find that one key. And it just speaks to that it's evolving and it's unique, but it's also in the pool.
Yeah.
We're all in the same pool.
Say the phrase one more time.
Everything is everything all the time. So if you have a headache and also you've had trouble with your left knee, they're in the same pool.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah, we're all connected. I mean, I just go to the collective. It's like everything is everything all the time. And we are all one. And we are all unique. And we are all different. And we are all, it's like, how can all those things be true? I don't know. But I've just come to the conclusion that everything is everything all the time. I love that. It's a great phrase. It's one of those that makes me like stop and pause and go, wait, say it again?
Right.
Say it again and use it in context. And then I'm still not going to get it. But also like internally, like at a soul level, I 100% get it. Like my energy gets it.
Right.
And my brain goes, wait, what?
Right. Like my conscious mind can't stay there full time.
Yeah.
But underneath, in the subconscious and the unconscious, I'm in the pool.
Yeah. Yeah. And the pool sometimes is like the perfect temperature and the perfect flow of waves or not, you know? And then other times it's like, I don't think this is my pool. And then it's like, but it's all the same pool. Like, stop fighting. All, you know, it's like, that's crazy to think about.
Yes. Well, and two, like, even though we all kind of know what the measuring stick is, mm-hmm. it shows up differently for people. Like some people will, hold themselves up to that and be like, oh, they'll shut down. Okay, I'm not worthy. I'm going to back off from this. And other people will be like, well, I'm going to take this stick and get rid of whatever is in me that isn't measuring up. And it's brutal. But we all know the stick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or you get the well, my measuring stick is so high. I'm going to do all the things all the time because everything is everything all the time, and I have to do everything all the time because if I don't do everything all the time, my measuring stick is like this doesn't work for me. It's like there's so many layers and like you said, variety of how people can show up in what it means to them, but it means something to everyone. Because
Yes.
I've never met anybody who doesn't at some level self-assess.
Yep.
The problem is most people, maybe everyone, I don't know, to self-assess accurately is pretty hard, especially without external like checks and balances.
Mm-hmm.
It's like our internal is where it's at. That's where the answers are. If you don't have guidance from the like, I just think like the human experience is messy. And we like to sabotage whether you're doing the work or not, no matter how far into your journey or not, like we go there.
Yeah.
So to not like, this is one of the reasons I appreciate our friendship so much. Because I know we have our own different sets of tools, and we both have this, I don't like saying it as a goal, but like the accuracy and the clarity are important for us.
Yeah.
And alignment with who we really are. Like who am I? Not only how am I really, who am I really?
Yes.
That's important to us.
100%.
And so when we check in with each other, we come through that lens.
Yeah.
And we might not get it right, quote unquote right, but is there really a right, or is it just right for the moment? Is it right for right now? I don't know. I mean, that's a legitimate question I'm asking, because I just think to claim that I know is ridiculous. To claim that I'm willing to explore and to play and to be inquisitive and to check in and then go with that.
And allow yourself from time to time to not have to be the knower.
100%.
Like that was, like, even when I got here today and we were talking about just my own nervousness, because I've not done this before, to allow yourself to be the person who doesn't know how to do this, is a huge vulnerability that would have like been a problem in my past, and is like, oh no, it's kind of stabilizing to realize it's exciting to be new at something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Even when I'm teaching. And I had heard this before, but I didn't experience it until I think 2019. I found myself saying to people over and over, people coming to my yoga classes, and even people, my friends, my family, you don't have to be everybody's everything. Mm. And then one day I said it to someone, and it just really registered in my own head. The reason this has been coming out of your mouth to so many people is because you need to realize that you don't have to be everybody's everything. That I can be a yoga teacher and not be everybody's yoga teacher. Oh. I can be a good yoga therapist and not be everybody's yoga therapist.
That right there is a golden nugget. I had the same thing with Thai massage. I used to feel so defeated if they didn't come back.
Yeah.
Or if they left and I had a feeling that it just wasn't for them.
Yeah.
I took it personally, which is so much ego. It's not even funny, And also give yourself grace. I was a beginner and I had a lot of stories that I was creating, and I had to find my groove and where I landed within what this really is. And what you just said is beautiful, because that's it. How can we possibly? It's that measuring stick, that damn measuring stick that just smacks us in the face and is just like, what do you mean? If everything is everything all the time, what do you mean I don't have to be everything to everyone? Yes, I do. It's like, no, you don't. And in fact, it's impossible. I believe that is impossible.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, you cannot. Right. So why? Like, is this just, there's just so many layers to how messy that can get within doing the work, and how beautiful it is to surrender and say, I may not be everyone's everything. In fact, I don't want to be. I may not be everyone's yoga therapist. In fact, I don't want to be. And the ones that I am for, the ones that find me and
resonate,
stay for as long as it works for them, beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful, because that's how I show up the best. That's how they receive the most. Also, side note, in case you're wondering, it's also how I receive the most, how you receive the most. Because as a teacher, there are some times where I'm like, I am learning as much or more from them. I mean, I guess I can't say how much they're learning from me because I'm not in them. I'm not in their minds and their body and their spirit. But I just go, thank God I'm a teacher, because as a teacher, I'm by default a student. You teach what you know, but you also teach what you need to know. Mm-hmm. You teach what you're learning. Mm-hmm. And it's such a beautiful exploration. and so challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
Simply because I'm finding out my own shit in real time in a classroom.
Yes.
And when I got rid of the measuring stick, not that it's gone forever, but for the most part, when I'm teaching, I'm not sitting there going, I have to be somewhere on this stick.
The valedictorian of teaching this class.
I'm not in that space. In fact, I'm not even in the space where I believe I have to offer everyone in the room, a certain thing.
Sure.
It's more like you're here for whatever reason you signed up for, and what you receive is for you to know.
Yeah.
And I don't need to find out.
Yeah.
I used to need that validation of like, what do you mean you did? Tell me how you felt about the class. What can I do better? And I always am open to feedback. And yes, of course, what could I do better? What did I do right? Like those kind of questions are great for me to reflect on. Yeah. And if people want to share them, great. But it's a very different purpose. It used to be because I needed to know I was good at what I was doing and that measuring stick was in a good spot.
100%.
And now I'm like, fuck it.
When I first started going to yoga classes in a serious way, like I seriously needed it to reduce my stress because I was having chronic physical ailments in my 20s.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you.
The struggle was real. So I went and I was not comfortable, but I did it. I still enjoyed it. But it took me a while to get comfortable with the space and what we were doing and with the teacher. And finally one day, I was so comfortable with the teacher. I went up to her after class and I said, hey, so sometimes you say things in class and like you say them in passing and I don't get them. I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't have time to write them down. We move on to something else and I don't remember it, so I can't like look it up later. What is that? And she said, oh, those weren't for you. And coming from this really concrete, very stressful job that I had, and all of that time, like I go to work, I had to be the knower. I was the knower for millions of dollars of projects. And then to go to this teacher and have her just say, those weren't for you, was both like exhilarating and terrifying. And they say it's a sign of intelligence if you can hold two like diametrically opposed thoughts at the same time. And it was too much for me. I was like, I got mad.
Yeah.
I went home and was like, what do you mean it's not for me? Am I not good enough for this? And then I was like, but no, it's kind of a relief that I'm not expected to understand everything that comes out of this person's mouth.
Yeah.
It's been a long process to get to this place of like, sometimes it's for me and sometimes it's not for me.
Yeah.
And that's just okay.
Yeah.
And if I can give one person that gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's like even when you were saying it, when you shared that story, there was a piece of me that was internalizing it like, oh, how would I feel about that? And it's like everything you said, right? And probably more for me if I think back to when I first started yoga, like where would I have been in my mindset and in my physical body and just like how I showed up in the world to hear that phrase. And I don't think I would have gone to exhilarating first. I think I would have gone to humiliating and like, I'm not good enough. And like, well, I probably would have been like, there's something I need to study so that it can be for me, like right. I'm not smart. I'm not like, I would have like internalized all these stories. And then I probably would have been like, well, if it's not for me, then I can just relax. I maybe would have gotten there. Maybe. But all of those things can be true at the same time.
Right.
It's like, oh my goodness.
If you go to your accountant and
right.
say, I just don't understand this part of why you did this way. And they say, oh, that's just not for you.
Yeah.
Like all of those self-critical things come up probably. If you went to a personal trainer and like wanted to learn how to do a deadlift and they said, okay, so you need to do this with your hips. And you say, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is with my hips. And they said, it's just not for you to understand. It's just for you to do. Like, no, they wouldn't say that.
Right.
Because you need to understand every little mechanic down the line.
Right, because there are times where not understanding is dangerous, and then there's other times where it legitimately is not for you, let it go.
Learning to drive a car. Parallel parking is just not for you. Not at this time.
Oh
No,
my gosh.
no, there's just those special pockets
Yeah.
of life that give us those insights.
Yeah. And those insights, they literally change your life. If you really look, I'm so grateful for all of them. And I know I've missed many that have happened, whether I saw it or not. You know, I recognize that. And I'm so grateful that things are ever changing and that everything is everything all the time. I think it's beautiful. I'm wondering if you could maybe, and maybe this doesn't work because I don't want to like get confidentiality things in the way, but I'm wondering if you could like walk through just a simple example of like, if I were to come to you for yoga therapy to support me on my journey.
Yeah.
What does that look like? And you can think of like a real life example or just something that makes sense, but just because I think we've talked about yoga therapy, but we haven't really gone into like, what do you really do with me?
What does an assessment or
what does this look like? Because I think sometimes like the fear of the unknown, people are more likely to be like, okay, I want to try that. Yeah. Because they have a little more information. Yeah. And that's what I'm looking for here. It's just like a little more information to open the door.
So typically I schedule an hour first meeting and I say to people, if you can leave extra time to go over, because sometimes it takes more than an hour to get at what we're really talking about. Mm-hmm. The conversation usually starts with, so what brings you in today, or what's your chief complaint? What is the thing that is going on that you're having trouble living with? Mm. And then the conversation can go in, so many different directions.
Can I pause you there? Because I want to ask for specifics. Because I know we've talked about physical, we've talked about like on some level mental, emotional. Yeah. But like, what are some? Physical makes sense to me, and I'm guessing. I mean, that just seems pretty obvious. Like, right, you have a physical pain, you go to work with you to work that out. What about like the emotional or just like life challenges? Is it anything? Like I'm struggling with anything?
Yeah, there's very little that I have not worked with people on. I had a client who was seeing lots of different people for different help and wanted to talk to me about finding balance in their relationship with their partner.
Okay, so yeah, really anything. Relationships, internal, like mental state, patterns or like things that you just feel like you keep trying, but you're bouncing your head against the wall kind of a feeling. Like so really what I'm hearing is anything. I'm not claiming that you can help with any problem for every person. I'm saying that if you have a challenge, mind, body, spirit, they can come to you and you can discover and uncover whether or not yoga therapy with Dawn makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that feels really vast, but also that's why I asked the question, because I'm like, is this just like I have immense grief and I don't know what to do with that? Or is this like I really am having a hard time getting up and going and I don't know what to do about that? Or is this like I just feel so overwhelmed and I don't know what to do with that, right? Like there's a million different ways. Or is it just I'm angry all the time and I don't know what to do with that?
That's what I did yoga therapy on myself for years before I even knew that I was doing yoga therapy for myself. I was an angry person for a lot of reasons. And, let's get into the Ayurveda. So I learned some Ayurvedic tools in my yoga teacher training, and I found out that I'm a Pitta dominant person, Pitta Kapha, and that means
I want you to share with the listeners, but I'm well aware what that means.
So
I am too.
So many things like that. I jump to the defense of others, like it's my job. That I also jump to conclusions and judge myself and others when I'm not at my very best, right? It means that I have this fire inside me that tells me, even when I'm exhausted, go, do this, make this happen, make this connection, all the time. And so having that fire and having it come out as anger a lot of the time. Like in my social emotional toolbox, there was one tool, it was a hammer called anger, and it was the solution to every problem. And I had to find a way to calm the fuck down.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming full circle. And, use the fire for good. Use my powers for good and not evil.
Yeah.
To find more tools for my toolbox.
And that's, the Ayurveda, yoga therapy, all of that came in for, you were already starting that process. Or you wouldn't have found them to begin with, probably.
And the pranayama.
Yeah.
And I studied psychology in college.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite professor would ask, freshmen in their psych classes one question: are you here to fix your family of origin or to try and take over the world?
Oh, wow.
And I was like, both!
Yeah.
I want to do both and everything and all of the other stuff too.
Yeah.
Right? But it's so, like, if you don't have the tools, you want the tools.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm glad I asked that question, and I want to circle back. So they can come literally for anything. You ask them why they're there. You ask them, what they're looking for, all those things. And then once you kind of have that assessment, like, do you get to work right away in that first one? Is the first one really more about, like, here's where we might go? Like, what does it look like?
Definitely try to get them at least one tool to take home with them.
Beautiful.
So, depending on where it is they're coming from. So how they answer the question and what they tell me that they're there for guides the questions that I ask them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they seem like they're coming out of left field. Like, have you ever used a mantra?
Yeah.
Would you be open to one in Sanskrit? Which I ask a lot of people who come in for anxiety. Because I don't want to give them something that makes them more anxious. If they have, like, personal philosophy or religious feelings that tell them I shouldn't be saying these things in Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But a mantra is like a lifeline.
Yeah.
For so many things in life. If you don't know where you are, if you don't know what you're trying to do, if you don't feel safe, secure, steady, clear.
Yeah.
If you just want to invite more of something into your life.
What I'm hearing from that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I'm hearing is when they come to you with something for yoga therapy, even at that first session, you're going to give them a tool. And it sounds to me like if I think about some other work that we do, sometimes it's like we have a conversation and then you go off without necessarily any homework, so to speak, or growth work. It sounds to me like you have. And here's what I'm hearing that person, someone like me, loves, because it's like time is a thing for me. It's my most valuable resource.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing from you is the tool or the homework or the growth work can literally look like a mantra. And if you don't know what mantra is, it's like something to say, think, feel, know.
Yes.
Right. And you can do it for yourself without it taking 3 hours. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing is the tool, is this true in yoga therapy as a whole? Like typically, like if you give them something to work with themselves, it's not going to take them 3 hours a day.
Correct.
It's like, this is sustainable and you can navigate it with your current daily life.
Yes.
This isn't like, oh, you coming for yoga therapy? Well, that means you're going to need an extra 6 hours a week to do your thing. And I'm asking that because I think a lot of people have time issues.
Yes.
And I think it's important to know that we can do the work in small steps. And my experience, the little that I have with yoga therapy with you, is you get to do it in a way that works with you in small chunks of time. And it's like you're building it one step at a time.
Yes.
In your own time that works for you. And you even take that into consideration. I know this from experience.
Yeah.
When we work together, like how much time do you have to dedicate to this?
Yeah. And how many days a week realistically do you think you'll make that happen?
Exactly. Yeah.
And that, it guides what they're given. And then we check in. How did this work for you? If it didn't work, then we move on to something else, because it's not one size fits all, right?
Right.
Some people will really resonate. Like the people who know what a swirling thought is will resonate more with, oh, I have this mantra now. Yeah. And so when the swirling turns into a tornado in my head, I can just anchor to this word or this sound or this sentence or 4-line. I've given people the Gayatri, but it's a 4-line Sanskrit mantra that is beautiful and awesome, but not everybody is going to take the time to memorize.
Right.
Which is okay. Like you kind of know. Some of it is like a lot of what you do, so intuitive, so from your gut. So like if I hadn't done the work to slow down and get present and notice when that intuition comes through or the wisdom is present, I wouldn't be able to make the suggestions.
Right.
And if it was all about my ego, then I wouldn't be able to say, oh, so that one isn't resonating. Great. Do you want to try another one, or should we just move to another tool?
Right.
Right. Because people who are very anxious do resonate more with the pranayama than the mantra, I find, in general.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to really like walk us through what that might look like, because I think so many times people hear words like yoga and therapy and they have assumptions and their own definitions of both. And then it turns out it's not either one of those things. And it doesn't look like either one of those things. Yeah. And it has its own very unique structure and format and energy and just what it actually is. And I think it's important to, I don't know. We're so quick when we hear words to give them a definition without considering the possibility that it might not be what you think.
Sure.
You know?
Oh, for sure. And you never, like, it's yoga therapy. So people assume that, like, whatever they come in with, I'm going to give them particular poses and durations and all those things. And, you know, sometimes they're surprised when they're there to talk about planning for their future, trying to decide if they're going to find a different job or go back to school. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this movement thing. I want you to do this, and I want you to relax into it, and I'm going to observe, and we're just going to see how this shows up for you today.
Yeah.
It's surprising, but sometimes the blocks that we have in our head, the blocks we have in our lives, are often present in physical form in our body in some way.
You say often. I might go as far as always, and I'm not an absolute human. So that says something about how I feel about that.
Preaching to the choir.
Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, here's another thing I'm hearing in this conversation that I really love, and that is how subtle, or maybe what I was going to say how subtle things can be, but I think what I really want to say is how powerful the subtle can be.
100%.
Because you talking about watching someone move and having that tell you something. Mm-hmm. I know from my own practices and things that I do and have done that is subtle. To find that and to see that and to feel that is subtle. It can be very subtle. It's not always subtle. Sometimes it's super loud. It's like, okay, well, I don't really, you can stop. Like, I got this. Like, we got this. We got a lot of information in that 3 seconds.
Sure.
And sometimes it's so subtle, which is why, I'm going to just circle back, why we need the outside experts, why we need the checks and balances, why we need someone outside of ourselves, because we've been moving that way our whole life, or we've been moving that way for a hot second. And it feels normal and natural to us, and we can't see the subtleties of the disconnects or the subtleties of the misalignments or the subtleties of, because those subtleties for us feel safe. I have the goosebumps as I'm saying that. Like, and to not have someone who can look and say, tell me about that. Did that bring up an emotion? Or tell me about that. Do you feel that anywhere else? Yeah. Or tell me about how that feels in that particular place in your body, because I'm seeing a thing that I just need to inquire about.
Right.
And it's so beautiful.
Because we love to just kind of sit in our mess and say, this is just the way I am. Mm-hmm. This is just the way it is right now.
Yeah.
And it's just such a delight to have someone outside of you say, sure, this is where you are right now. Mm-hmm. but this isn't who you're always going to be. This isn't the way it's always going to be for you. And if it's hurting you, if it's hurting your family, if it's hurting your career, if it's hurting your prospects, if it dampens your light, you don't have to just be in this alone.
Yeah.
Forever.
You just, that brought up something for me. And I think I'm supposed to say it just because somebody out there might hear it and go, oh yeah, I guess I never really thought about that. Like my stomach hurt most of my life. It just, everything hurt it. I didn't know I was allergic to dairy.
Oh.
I didn't know I was gluten intolerant. I didn't know. I just thought it was normal to have a tummy ache after you ate. I thought it was normal to kind of just like have your tummy be the most sensitive part of your body. Sure. I didn't know that wasn't a thing. I mean, I wasn't obviously in excruciating pain because it was normal for me. I didn't know it wasn't normal, so I never sought help. And it's like, if you have any pain or discomfort, I think pain and discomfort is part of life. Like, okay, yes, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, if you have something that kind of affects your life in a way where you're just like, gosh, I wish this could be different, maybe explore that. I literally just didn't even consider to explore. I also grew up in a family with a lot of worry and anxiety. I didn't know that wasn't normal. I didn't know that didn't have to be true. I was just like, now I've done all this work and I'm like, I can't remember the last time I really worried like I used to. Not that I don't ever, I mean, I'm a human. I have feelings and emotions and things natural, but like, I just used to worry about all the things. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I didn't know that wasn't how life was. I just didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know it could be different. I had no idea that it was possible to be like, wow, life sucks sometimes and life is painful sometimes. And there's a lot of challenges within life, but like, I'm fucking happy. Like, it's good. It's so good. And I think, wow, I didn't even know I didn't used to be happy until now that I am. And I'm like, huh, well, isn't that cool?
In my house, we love the metaphor of putting rocks in your backpack. Mm-hmm. Some rocks you put in yourself and some rocks, you might have been born with, or your family of origin, or your school, or your job, your experiences.
Yeah.
And then one day, usually when it gets too heavy, you let it slip and you notice that you don't have to have those rocks holding you in place all of the time. It's familiar, right?
It is familiar.
It's stable.
And some of those rocks are pretty.
Some of them are
some of them are
very
atrocious.
Darn heavy and sharp.
Yeah.
Right?
We tell ourselves they're pretty. That's where I was going with that, right? Like some of them we're really attached to.
Oh, we do get attached to them. We do get attached to them. And, sometimes there's like a rebound. It's kind of like when you take a prescription and the prescription does something for you, and then over time, you don't need that anymore. And then you kind of have, after this peak, a valley. Mm-hmm. If you have these things that you're carrying around, physically, emotionally, energetically, and you find something that lets you not carry them for a time, there's this trough of unknown, uncomfortable, unfamiliar, and you find yourself, no matter how awful that rock was, going, should I start doing that again? Should I pick that back up? Should I go back to this relationship that's, making me sad? Should I go back to eating this food that makes my body feel depleted? Should I go? Because you have to allow the time and the space for yourself to be not that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that transition is really tricky and challenging. Mm-hmm. This feels like a good, I feel like we covered a lot. I feel like we came full circle. I mean, I think there's a million more things we could talk about. I think we could go down and, get deeper into all of the things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But I feel like for now, this is a good place to sit and rest. And then I invite listeners to send a message. If you have questions about this episode and the things we talked about, or if you want to dive deeper, or you want us to record again about a very specific piece of this, we
Absolutely.
are more than happy to do that. Dawn and I are never oh, what? We have to spend time together? Harumph. I'm so mad about that.
We will never find something to talk about.
I know. Whatever are we going to do? I appreciate you first of all, sharing and being vulnerable and honest about how this is not your comfort zone. And look at you coming on in and just rocking it. Like I learned a lot, and it just a lot of great reminders too of things that aren't always at my forefront. And I always appreciate our time together and our conversations. And I feel like this is until next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I feel like this, if you're open to doing this again.
Yeah. No, it's
like
been
this is
really great.
Another conversation in a new and different way, perhaps deeper levels of what we've been talking about today. It's so important. And I just think like where we started and where we came back to in the middle, and now we're going to circle back to at the end, things we can do to help us calm the fuck down is just, I mean, I use that word intentionally in that phrase.
Yeah.
Because that's how it feels messy like that to me when I'm in that state of like, I don't even know how in this moment, and it's like the more ways we can connect, even just to like for me to listen to this podcast again, to say this would be helpful, I'm gonna listen, is great. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
That's a wrap for today. Bye. Be you every day.